Hey guys, for my study, I'm focusing on a small brew pub in my small hometown that I've been working at up until the coronavirus pandemic hit, and they were forced to obviously close their doors and now open with limited capacity. So the goal of the study was kind of in the realm of COVID-19. My objective was to try to talk to all the employees, which is a small base, about 35 employees on our Facebook page. So using that Facebook page, I made or distributed a survey that I made. In that survey, you had 12 different scenarios that were presented. In those 12 different scenarios, each scenario presented a different way that Roy Pitts could protect their employee base. There were three categories of the scenarios: social distancing, PPE, personal protective equipment, and extra protections. There were four scenarios posed in each category, and the employees were then to pick their preferences of necessity level on a 1 to 6 scale, with 1 being the least necessary and 6 being the most necessary. Since my data all ultimately ended up all being ordinal, I did have a little bit of trouble with some of the regression analyses and things like that. So my hypotheses, the null hypothesis was that employees at Roy Pitts have no preference of opening measures, and then the alternative hypothesis is that employees at Roy Pitts have a preference of opening measures. So first, my mean analysis. Within the categories, social distancing had an average mean score between all four scenarios of 3.475. Personal protective equipment came in at 4.362, and then extra protections was 4.063. I wasn't really surprised to see social distancing having the least. It's the one people kind of have been generally most opposed to. People are getting pretty anxious about being away from each other. So I wasn't surprised to see social distancing have a lower value and PPE having the highest, just because people are really concerned about making sure they have masks, gloves, the proper protections needed in order to keep them safe from a virus that we have no cure for. The bottom three of averages, the hanging thin shield was 2.65, outdoor dining was 2.7, and touchless pay was also 2.7. And then the top three, extra routine sanitizing of high contact areas was 5.55. Stocked sanitizer, hand sanitizer at each of our three POS stations, 5.45, and disinfecting chairs after each guest was 4.8. So next I ran some correlations. I used Kendall's Tau B correlations just because since all my data was ordinal, it just made the correlations make more sense. Within each of the three categories, I ran a correlation between the four scenarios, so there were three correlation tables ultimately. The variables with similar average ratings were most significantly related. With a high number of significant variables, it definitely strengthened our case to reject the null hypothesis. T-tests kind of got the opposite results. The further apart the average rating was between the two variables, the lower the p-value, and thus greater significance. So in two variables that were very related, I had a 0.04 p-value, whereas in two of my scores that were very far spread apart, I had a p-value going all the way down to 0.00000044, something very small, which didn't really surprise me because ultimately, when trying to reject the null hypothesis, the variables that are the most furthest apart are going to do a good job proving that null hypothesis, so I wasn't surprised to see the p-values lower for those. My conclusion, ultimately, there was a pretty strong case for rejecting the null hypothesis. My range of average rating was from between 2.65 and 5.55, so it was definitely made abundantly clear through the survey process that the employees at Roy Pitts definitely have preferences in terms of opening and closing. So I definitely reject the null hypothesis of employees at Roy Pitts having no preferences of opening measures. I hope you guys are all staying safe, wash your hands, and thanks.